everybody, and welcome to another episode of Cinema Heroes. I'm Justin Speck.
I'm Alex Thomas.
And joining us again is my sister, Janelle. Janelle, how's it going tonight?
Good. Glad to be here.
Today we are talking about the final Harry Potter movie, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Got that lenticular Blu-ray. Alex has it as well. It's pretty cool. It's actually the only Harry Potter Blu-ray I've got with a slipcover. And then that beautiful steelbook that Alex has. Released in 2011, directed by David Yates, written by Steve Kloves from the book by J.K. Rowling, of course, and starring Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, Emma Watson, Alan Rickman, all the usual suspects. The only two new people that I noticed in this movie, aside from maybe some pretty small roles, were Ciarán Hinds as Aberforth Dumbledore and Kelly MacDonald as Helena Ravenclaw. But other than that, it's pretty much the rest of the cast is, the usual suspects from all the other movies. So, I'll give you my impression. I, again, didn't remember the book at all when this movie finally came out, and thought it was awesome. I walked out of the theater thinking that was incredible. I loved it. They did, they ended the series so well. Of course, the book obviously ended the series, but I just thought it was a great movie, and I really, really liked it, and I really enjoyed rewatching it. So, Alex, what did you think when you saw it the first time?
Well, I did actually see this one in the theater because I was determined to see the very last Harry Potter movie in the theater. And I just remember that bus ride being so terrible. It was hot. And I didn't care. I think I had a Harry Potter shirt on. It was gray, but it was destroyed because I was sweating so much. But sitting in that theater watching this movie, I would like to say it's probably cliche, but I did cry at the end of this movie. For being a fan, knowing that it spanned 10 years of my childhood, from it starting from 2001 all the way to the time I graduated from high school. Wow. It really touched a lot of emotions to me, seeing all these three actors grow from that very first movie to this movie. I loved it as well. Obviously, to me, it's my second favorite of the franchise. I know it's hard to say that because it's not really a complete movie because it's a part 1, part 2, but I don't care what nobody say. This is the second best Harry Potter movie, at least in my opinion. And yeah, I loved it. I thought the action was stellar. The acting is on point. I love the way this movie looks as well, like the way it's shot. Yeah, I absolutely love this movie. The movie is fantastic.
I agree. Janelle, you watched the movie again today. You'd seen it obviously before.
Right.
How do you enjoy this movie? How did you feel about this movie when you watched it today?
Yeah, I did. I was engrossed, and I thought they did a really good job with it. And yeah, I really did enjoy it.
Nice. All right. Well, let's just jump right in. I mean, with this movie, one of the things I love about this movie is, it's basic. It's literally part 2. So it starts off with the same image that part 1 kind of ended with Dumbledore getting the Elder Wand. That even happens before. Oh, what did I say? Dumbledore? My bad. Voldemort getting the Elder Wand.
Dumbledore.
Voldemort getting the Elder Wand. And that happens even before the Warner Brothers logo, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
And then
I love the way this movie opens.
It's a perfect opening. And then we jump right to Harry at Dobby's grave, basically, and pick up right where we left off. So, I mean, you could cut out the credits from the last movie and splice these two movies together and make it one super long movie, and it would, I mean, that's just how it was a perfect kind of continuation. And
I've actually watched the movies that I've actually watched the movies like that, where I've watched them back to back, where I would literally stop the movie. I would even stop it where Voldemort would get the wand at the end of the movie, and I would just start right where Deathly Hallows Part 2 starts.
Nice.
Where he gets the wand. I think
it'd be kind of cool. I might have to do that as well, because it's, it's basically one long movie. I mean,
right.
It's obviously the book split in half, so it is, I mean, it's just, yeah, it would be, I think it'd be long, but it'd be enjoyable.
Right.
But what I was going to say was visually right off the bat. I mean, this is such a dark time. You know, we've got Dementors outside of Hogwarts.
Yes, I love that shot.
I do
That's
too.
a great shot. Oh man.
Yeah, I like getting to see Hogwarts because we really didn't get to see it at all in part one.
No, not
So
at all.
like
Yeah.
to see what's been going on and what it's really like now. I like that.
Yeah, and Snape is now the headmaster, and I found it interesting that like McGonagall would stick around, and even Flitwick, I think his name is, would, you know, but I guess they probably felt like they needed to be there for the children because there's still so many students there that, you know, have nothing to do with the Death Eaters and don't, you know, she probably felt responsibility towards them more than anything. Because part of me, when I first saw her, I was thinking like, well, she knew that Snape killed Dumbledore, so I assume she thought the same thing Harry did, that he was actually a bad guy, right? So that was when I thought when we first saw her, I was like, why is she still there? You know, why would you willingly kind of like work next to these people who, you know, work for you know who? And so, but then, you know, it makes total sense. Once I saw all the students and everything, I was like, oh, of course, you know, you wouldn't want to just be like, you guys are on your own. See you later.
Yep, exactly.
Especially, you know, the students are rebelling and, you know, like Neville and all them. So it's like they, you know, I think the teachers in their own way also rebelled as much as they could or supported the students, you know. But yeah, you're right. They wouldn't abandon the student.
Yeah.
But before we even get to Hogwarts, we've got the whole breaking into Gringotts sequence. The goblin that we saw at the end of part one, who I believe is also played by Warwick Davis. I could be wrong, but I think he is.
Yes, he is. Yes, it is.
Yeah,
he plays two characters in this movie.
Yeah, which is cool. Good for him. He agrees to get them into Gringotts if they give him the sword of Gryffindor. And Hermione drinks Polyjuice potion to turn into Bellatrix Lestrange, which I like. It's not as good of a scene as the breaking into the Ministry from the first half of the movie, but it's still pretty good. I like how when they first get to Diagon Alley, somebody sees her and she's like, "Good morning," and they're like, "Are you crazy?"
It's fun seeing the actors like Helena Bonham Carter play. Try to play Emma Watson, playing Hermione, playing. It's fun.
Helena Bonham Carter actually does a fantastic job in that scene where she's got like the crazy look, but she also has like a really nervous look behind the crazy eyes.
Yeah.
She nailed it.
She's asking to see her vault. It's like she is playing it like how Hermione will try to play as her. It's like, or how Emma Watson would play it as her. And it's great. I love it. I love the Polyjuice potion is just an interesting thing they can do. Like going back to part one, like the seven Harrys is just one of the great scenes because it's Daniel Radcliffe playing it like the other actor. So it's like it's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, going to breaking into Gringotts, man. I first right off the bat, I just love that this movie just starts us right off with the action. Like we're immediately going straight to Gringotts because I know in the book they're sitting here for days before they even go to Gringotts. It's like we literally like not a day later we gotta go there because we know there's something there. And I love the fact that he says, "Oh yeah, we'll give you the sword," and they're questioning like, "Hold on, we need the sword to stop the Horcruxes." I would have thought, "Hold on, I can't literally I give it to you, but it's not gonna be yours." That's what I'm thinking if I'm Harry. Like if you want to think smart, he can't literally possess this. He can't own it because it's not a thing to be owned. So yeah, I'll give it to you. Just so you can get me into Gringotts. But even obviously it flips on him and he abandons them anyway. But I would have thought if I was Harry, like, let me think smart. Yeah, I'll give you the sword, but you're not gonna be able to keep it. Let me just get me into Gringotts. But I love this whole scene. This scene is very interesting. Yeah, them using Polyjuice potion. Even Ron with the beard and the long hair. I think that was like a charm or something like that they used to camouflage him.
Yeah, they don't explain that. I actually wrote that. I said, Ron's got a beard all of a sudden. And obviously it's some sort of spell they put on him. But
yeah. trying to dress up like a Death Eater.
Death Eater.
And in the book,
Something.
it's actually it's another Death Eater that's with them in this scene that's not present in the movie. But it doesn't really matter. That'll be just
right, again, not
being there for
not
no reason.
critical. Exactly.
Right, not
Right.
critical.
Yep.
Yeah, and you know, it's magic. They obviously they don't have to tell us that it was a spell and stuff, but
Mhm.
I did think like,
Yep.
why does he have a beard? All like it was kind of just like at first I was like,
Yeah.
wait, hold on a second.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I did write down that you know, so they do a spell on like the bank manager, I guess you could say, and then he takes him down and
curse.
yeah, the Imperious curse, and so then he's like all
Yep.
you know happy.
One of the unforgivable curses.
Oh, is it
He's
really?
using the unforgivable. Yeah, it is. So
Although I think in the book they do. Well, I mean, I know he does do the Imperious Curse, but he also does the Confundus spell.
Yes.
To like confuse them when they're like questioning Bellatrix. But I had a question.
Yep.
They had Bellatrix's wand.
Right.
Why didn't they hand it over? Because they did in the book.
I think they knew it wasn't her. Because she was supposed to be she was at Malfoy Manor.
Right, but my point is if they had given her her wand, it would have proven it was her.
Right.
So I was just like, why didn't
that was weird.
Why didn't they give it to him?
I actually, because I couldn't remember. I hadn't seen this movie in a while. There's a few things I had forgotten about. In fact, this whole scene. I knew they broke into Gringotts and the dragon, but I forgot they were disguised as Bellatrix. But I thought she was saying no at first because she figured that's what Bellatrix Lestrange would say. But then I kind of expected her to show it. Or maybe like show it even right before Harry, because I knew Harry was up to something.
Right.
You saw him kind of creeping around. But I did expect her to actually show the wand and be like, look, it's me, okay? Let me into my vault now. And then maybe he would do something, but that never happened.
Were they asking for the wand to take it away? Maybe that's why they were asking for it, though. They really didn't confirm that either. But I thought that's why she didn't want to give it away either, because they might take it from her because she needs the wand when you know, to do whatever.
I mean, I just thought because they asked for identification, I mean, it would have. I think they would have been, if they had suspicions, they would have been surprised that she actually had Bellatrix's wand.
Yeah, I mean, like,
and it would have proven her identity.
Right.
I didn't get the impression that they were going to take it necessarily, but
right.
I just was curious why they made that choice not to hand over.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. It's a very good question.
I did want to mention one thing real quick, because you talked about how they spent a lot of days at Bill and Flo's. Well, obviously they had to take a lot of time to plan this whole heist into Gringotts.
Yeah.
But the other thing they took out was Remus comes and announces, we had a baby boy, and he wants Harry to be the godfather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wrote this down way later,
Yep.
obviously. In fact, it happened. Okay, another thing I totally forgot was that Nymphadora and Lupin died. So when I saw that shot of them on the floor,
off screen,
it's like a gut punch. I was like, no. But then Harry says to him after he's dead, he's like something about what about your son or something like that. And I was like, what? So I like completely, I had no idea.
Yeah. So they kind of cut out, you know, I mean, because that makes it even more heart-wrenching that now their son is an orphan.
Yes.
And, you know,
Like him.
so if they had
Like Harry.
kept that, so that, you know, and Harry, of course, was touched to be asked to be the godfather.
Right.
And
I wonder if it was a deleted scene. I wonder if it was in the movie and then got cut
No.
out. Because it does seem No, you don't think so?
I don't think so. Just by the way the scenes played out, I just don't know, because they don't mention anything about them showing up or anything like that. It just feels like right when, like, the events of Dobby dying, we see Harry at the grave, and it's literally that same day. Like, it's the same day. Like, we're already talking to Ollivander and Grimlock, or whatever his name was, the troll, and like, I'm sorry for cussing, but the troll, and
I'll cut it out.
Let's go ahead and move on, like, because we can't sit here.
There's
they're worried about Voldemort.
There's a very brief scene with Bill and Fleur at the house, so I could see it maybe being a part of that scene.
Yeah.
There's additional scenes on the Blu-ray that I don't think I've ever checked out, so I'd have to go and watch it. But it feels so out of left field after Lupin has died that they bring up the son, that I feel like it had to have been introduced earlier and then they cut it out. But I could be wrong. Maybe they don't. But it's just, I was shocked by that. So anyway, back to Gringotts real quick. They are taking like the mining car down to the vault, and an alarm goes off. Actually, they go through this waterfall, and then an alarm goes off, and they get dumped. And I wrote, the Banks waterfall that washes away enchantments, because that's what it did. It washed away the Polyjuice potion and Ron's disguise, and it lifted the Imperious curse. Or I guess it's a curse. I said that waterfall should be at the entrance to the bank. Like, it shouldn't be down in the vault mine. It should be like when you walk in the door, you get a little mist of.
The intent is for it to alert, obviously, thieves, right? And if they get past the waterfall, it's going to stop. That's why it stopped and released them.
Right.
That's why it was supposed to leave them to basically to their deaths, basically.
Well, yeah.
Obviously, they got the
down there with the dragon, I guess.
Spell. Yeah. Right. They got the spell to stop them from falling, but it's supposed to, stop you and drop you because you're not allowed. You're not supposed to be in there.
Right. You're a thief. Right.
Which I did love all this. I thought this was great. Actually, in the game, you can when you're in Gringotts in the game, you go through the waterfall, and it's great.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I thought this whole scene was great. Obviously, them seeing the dragon and knowing that they used the tools to, to alert the dragon that's going to be hurt to get past it. I loved all this stuff. Then we get into the vault when they see the cup. Now, I wanted to ask you, how did you feel about Harry can sense the Horcruxes? What did you think? Did you understand why he can feel them? When this first started happening, because I think this was I don't know if they said in part 1, but in this movie he started saying, "Oh, I can feel it, or I can feel it's in here."
Right. I don't remember how I felt about it watching the movie the first time, like in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
I might have been confused by it, but we had talked about Harry being a Horcrux, and they do.
Right.
I mean, even in previous movies, he does have that kind of psychic connection, with Voldemort, and we know why in this movie.
Understand why. Yep.
So I don't know if I was totally confused by it, but now, knowing ahead of time, watching this movie today, knowing that there's a part of Voldemort's soul in Harry, I understood why he had this connection to the Horcruxes. So, but again, I don't know if a first time viewer might be confused by that. I could see them being like, why does he know where these things are? But then it is explained, so it's
right.
I don't know.
I thought it was cool. I love that. It's, he got like a sixth sense to this stuff when it comes to knowing where the Horcruxes is. They see the cup and they get the cup, and all the stuff in the room just start multiplying.
Right, which I think is in the super book, cool curse. Yeah.
In the book they gets burned by the stuff. Right. Yeah.
So it had a whole other element. They're like getting second degree burns trying to,
gosh.
That adds another intensity to getting out.
Intensity. Yep.
In the book, when they're in the room of requirement, does that get set on fire too, like it does in the movie?
Yeah.
So I could see, I bet you that's why they changed it, because there was already the fire scene in the room of requirement.
Yeah.
Let's not do another fire scene. So
it wasn't fire. It's just that the items burned on contact.
The items were just so hot.
Items were hot.
Whatever.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
That's interesting. I guess they could have done that. But I really visually, I like the whole idea of these things popping and multiplying and almost burying them alive. It's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Harry gets buried alive. He gets buried alive.
And then after this, they go to Hogsmeade, right? They break out on the dragon. That's a pretty sweet scene. You got to talk about,
Yes.
The goblins, grip hook especially betrays them, and the guards come in and they're not going to let them escape. And so Hermione's idea is actually to jump on the back of the dragon and let the dragon get them out, which was visually just awesome.
Very cool.
In the book, Bill had a conversation with Harry about not trusting a goblin, which obviously that conversation wasn't had because Harry seemed, I guess he looked surprised that he actually betrays them.
Yeah.
But I think Hagrid also told too, you don't want to trust a goblin. I think he said that earlier in earlier movies, but
yeah, I did want to point out again, it's just magic. We know we don't really need an explanation, But once they jump off of the dragon and jump into the water, they get out of the water, and Hermione uses like a stopper and puts something on their hands, and they like rub their hands together, and then they start putting on dry clothes. And I just thought to myself, was that hand sanitizer? Like there was no explanation as to what that was.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to dry them off. So I just had no idea what it was that she was doing. And I thought, again, is that an Easter egg for the book readers?
Yeah, well, in the book, they get burned. And so they're putting I forget what it's called now, but it's the same stuff they use like when Ron got splinched,
Right,
to heal their burns. So I don't know what they would have needed to put on their hands. Unless it was just from holding on to the dragon.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
It's funny because in the game, I don't know, I keep talking about Hogwarts Legacy, but it's called Wiggenwell potion. That's what it's called to heal you. I don't know if they actually have that in the movies because they never really mention a type of potion to heal you. Not from everything, but it heals you from that stuff. But that's what I was thinking. Oh, maybe they're using Wiggenwell potion to heal themselves. But yeah.
So and that's what I figured it was. I honestly thought it was going to be some sort of spell to dry them off faster because it seemed like they were pretty cold. Yeah. But they didn't really dry. They just put on new dry clothes, but they were still kind of wet. In fact, if you watch Daniel Radcliffe in that scene, it seems like he's having a really hard time putting that shirt on.
Hard time putting the shirt on. Yeah.
So I have no idea what it was that she put on her hand.
But during that scene, we see that he had a connection with, or he connected with Voldemort. And you see him killing everyone at Malfoy Manor, which is it's pretty horrific when you see the aftermath of him walking over the dead bodies.
Yeah, he's got the bloody feet and everything.
And talking. Yeah, and talking to the snake about, we gotta keep we gotta keep each other safe because, he finds out that they're actually hunting the Horcruxes and destroying them. Which I do like to see. And I love that Harry was like, man, it's like he's scared, but that makes him more dangerous because he's willing to do terrible things to us, to get to us.
Yeah, I think he even says like he's more dangerous now. They're like he feels more dangerous now. Because
he's scared. Yeah.
Right. So they decide they need to get to Hogwarts.
Well, because in the book, it kind of plays out a little differently because when Voldemort finds out that they broke into the vault is when he is like, a light bulb goes on. He's like, oh, is Harry hunting Horcruxes? Because he had no idea that he's been hunting Horcruxes this whole time.
Right.
Which is another little, because in the movie, and I understand why they chose to do it this way, but Voldemort doesn't feel it when the Horcruxes are destroyed. Because they've destroyed the locket, they've destroyed the ring, and Voldemort has had no idea that they've been hunting Horcruxes. It's only when they break into the vault that he's like, because he knew what was in the vault. So then he starts going to each of the different places. So he goes back to the Gaunt house to look for the ring. He goes to the cave to look for the locket, and then he realizes these things are missing. And he's headed to Hogwarts to find the diadem before Harry, and that's what Harry's like, we need to get to Hogwarts and get that before Voldemort does. So it doesn't, there's no, the killing and all that at Malfoy Manor, that's not what's happening in the book. Because when Harry enters Voldemort's mind, Voldemort's thinking, surely not. Like, surely Harry hasn't figured this out because he's, not smart enough to figure this out, or, he's so weak. And he's like, oh, but then he decides to, check in and see if those Horcruxes are still there. And of course, gets madder and madder when he finds out that they're not. So it played out a little differently in the book.
I'm torn because I kind of like it the way it is in the movie. And it makes sense since it's got a part of his soul that he would feel it when one gets destroyed.
And again, I get why they chose to do it that way. And it makes for a more dramatic movie.
Right.
Every time that happens and, Harry and Voldemort both kind of react. But yeah, I found it interesting when I was reading the book that I was like, so he hasn't known this whole time? He doesn't feel it? Because I do remember that from the movies, like, so it was a little surprising reading it and remembering that, he had no idea.
Wow.
that was what Harry was doing.
I would have loved to see a scene in the movie of Voldemort going to the different places to see the Horcruxes are gone. That would have been hilarious.
And getting super upset. Yeah, that would have been.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like I'm torn, because I do feel like that would have been kind of cool to see. But again, I think it actually kind of makes sense that he feels it, because it is a piece of him being destroyed. So I don't know. That's a change that I almost feel like I'm kind of glad they made. But I don't know.
Yeah.
So when they get to Hogsmeade, there's this screeching, which is like an alarm.
Yes.
And they don't, like, this is something else that isn't really explained. And so I'm curious if there's an explanation in the book. I don't know how they knew, like, how this alarm knew that it was Harry that was in Hogsmeade. But that's what I got the impression was, because I think somebody even says, like, one of the Death Eaters, like, in the background is like, Potter's here, or something like that. Yeah. So
Potter.
Clearly this alarm was designed to alert people when Harry Potter arrived, but there's no real explanation as to how or why, or why, obviously, is because Voldemort's looking for him, but how, how is it that they knew that it was him? You know what I mean? I guess I don't know.
Well, they install a curfew in Hogsmeade, so nobody's allowed to go outside after nightfall. And they cast a spell for any movement outside at all.
Oh.
So as far as I think they just knew it was Harry, because who else is going to operate into Hogsmeade and not know about this curfew and all that?
Only Harry Potter would show up.
Right.
Yeah.
And in the book, they're of course under the invisibility cloak, so they know that too. Right. So they know that even if they can't see him, he might be there somewhere. And but yeah, so that's the alarm, the spell. So everybody in Hogsmeade's inside, and so because they showed up, they just immediately went out to look for Harry.
Okay.
But there's also Dementors patrolling in Hogsmeade, and so they actually, Harry's forced to do a Patronus, and of course it's a stag, and they recognize the Patronus, and they're like, hey, and they're looking for him, and that's when Aberforth has them come in.
That should have been in the movie.
Yes.
And Aberforth talks to them too. He talks to the Death Eaters too. Like, they have a conversation.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
He does, because once he gets them in, he's yelling at them, and he's like, I had to let my cat out. That's what set off the alarm. And then he was like, and your Dementors, so I sent off my Patronus, but it's a goat. It's not a stag, and like just yells at them to kind of throw them off, because they saw the Patronus, they thought it was a stag, and so he tries to convince them it was a goat, which is his Patronus. And so, yeah, I was a little bit underwhelmed by that scene in the movie, because it's a lot more intense in the book with the Dementors and like the
it's not much at all. Yeah.
No.
It's
I didn't feel like they were really at risk of getting caught. Like, they just, like, you don't feel that same.
No. I agree. Which is why I was like, I guess that's why I kind of wanted the explanation. Like, somebody does say, I think Potter's here. It would have made more sense to me if it was like, somebody said it's probably Potter or something like that, rather than just being definitive.
Like, someone's
Potter's
here. Look for Potter, like.
Right, something like that. And then I know they were like waiting to reveal him, but you hear Aberforth say like, Potter, this way, and they just immediately go, and I'm like, you don't know who this is. Like, you don't trust these. Like, that could be a Death Eater. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
And but then Ron says something like, I thought it was Dumbledore at first, or something like that,
Right.
So maybe Harry knew that it was Aberforth. I don't know, but it was just like, in the movie, it was just like, Potter, this way, and they were like, okay. They were a little too trusting, in my opinion. I really liked Kieran Hines as Aberforth. That was cool casting, and he looks like Dumbledore's brother. I could see that. And this is where we see the mirror finally. The mirror is hung up in Aberforth's room, and that's how, Harry has been seeing him, and he didn't know that it was Aberforth that he was seeing in the mirror. And then I did write, because we've talked about this in the last movie, because the mirror seems to come out of nowhere. Did we see him acquire that piece of mirror anywhere in the movies?
Not that I saw.
No. So it just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. It does.
Yeah. Okay. That's kind of a bummer. I was
After-
like, did he get it in Half-Blood Prince and I just don't remember it? But I don't think so.
No,
It's
because
just- yeah.
Harry points it out and asks him, where did he get it from? And he asks, oh, I got it from Mundunglis Fletcher. He took it from Sirius's house. That's how he got it.
In the
And
books,
he's
that's how they explain it?
No.
No, that's
Oh,
how
in
they
the-
explain it in the movie.
Oh, okay.
In the movie, that's how they explain it, because Harry asks Dumbledore, or asks Aberforth, how did you get the mirror?
Oh, yeah.
He's
How
like,
did
oh, Sirius-
Aberforth get it?
He's
Right.
like, and he was like, Sirius told me you will be mad that I got it.
Right.
He'll
Right.
know you'd be mad. But he was like, oh,
Right.
but if I didn't have it, where would you be right now if I didn't have this mirror? So it's kind of a good thing that I did have it. So
And I agree with
Yeah.
Aberforth there. That makes sense to me. But was there any explanation as to how Harry got the little piece of mirror? Was that shown in the movies?
no.
Yeah.
Nope.
So that is
Nope.
that part leaves me a little wishing that they had.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it was a deleted scene. Why would you delete that scene? I don't know. But that seemed weird.
Yeah, it's not to mention because we talked in earlier episodes about being underwhelmed by Sirius's death. And I feel like if they had left that in and had him find that from Sirius after he died, it would have just
Yeah.
added an extra,
Absolutely. Yes, I agree. Oh, so my next note is Aberforth sends off, I forget her name, but the Dumbledore's sister that's in the painting.
Ariana.
And Ariana, is that what it is?
Mhm.
And
Ariana.
when she leaves, she comes back with somebody, and I liked how they could kind of see the person in the painting. And then the painting opens, and it's Neville, and I thought, oh, that's really not cool. And then I love when Neville comes back, and he's like, I've got a surprise for everyone, and they're like, it's not more of Aberforth's cooking, is it? And Neville gets out of the way, and we see Harry, and the Harry Potter theme plays, and I was like, this is awesome. I love that scene.
Yes.
I did have a
They
question
play it
though.
twice.
What did you think
Nice.
of Neville's reaction though when he saw Harry?
He didn't really have one, did he? He
I
was just
know. Well, that's just
No,
it.
he
Like
didn't. Yeah,
in the
he
book,
was just
he's
like, hey, what's up?
Harry, and he's like, you're back.
Right.
I knew you'd come back. And like, it's all like, he had no idea Harry was there. Like, I
Right.
just thought his reaction was really.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good
Yeah.
point. Yeah, he should have had a bigger reaction. Instead, he was just like, it's a Tuesday and Harry Potter's here. Let's go, Harry.
Exactly.
So very shortly after this, Harry tells everybody that he's looking for a Horcrux. He doesn't know what it is. He doesn't know where it is. I liked Seamus's reaction. He's like, I know it's not much to go on. He's like, that's nothing to go on.
There's
Like,
nothing to go on. There's nothing to go on.
But shortly after that, they're all called into like a common room area. I don't know if that's the Great Hall. I wasn't sure where that
It's
was.
the Great
exactly.
Hall.
Is
It's the
it?
Great Hall.
Okay.
Because
it looks so different because
Ginny
it's so
run-
dark
yeah,
and
Ginny-
everything, you know?
Ginny runs into the room of requirement, was like, Sirius,
They know he's
Snape
here,
knows
yeah.
that Harry was in Hogsmeade, so now we're
Right.
all about to be called we're about to be interrogated to, who knows where Harry is and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I love this scene. Alan
Yes.
Rickman, like I said in the last one, he is eating this scene
Yes,
up.
he is.
The way he says every single line of dialogue, just
Uh-huh.
so slow, so certain. And,
Equally
he,
guilty, or whatever he says.
yeah, equally gifted. Then he said, "No, then." Like, just the way he says his lines is so
Uh-huh.
particular and so just spot on. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. I did
Yeah.
write though that knowing what we know about Snape, like once you finally learn everything about Snape, I can't help but feel just so bad for him in this scene because he
Yeah.
is a good guy, and yet like I love again the performances. Alan Rickman's performance is amazing, and when McGonagall pushes Harry out of the way and points her wand, he's like taken aback.
Yeah.
But then he's like, I've
Yeah.
got to keep this up, and so he
Yeah.
points his wand at her, and you just she even calls him a coward when he runs away, and I'm just like, it just breaks my heart because I'm like, he can't tell them anything, but it's gosh, I felt so bad for him.
Did you guys catch when McGonagall is hitting? I was trying to figure out what spell was she using. I thought she was using Confringo, but that was what that spell was. But when she was throwing the flames at him, he backfired and made it hit the Carrols. He like literally did it on purpose so he can knock them out so he can get away. And he
I did not notice
also,
that.
I was watching a video he takes their wands when he flaps back and forth. He's taking their wands, and that's what he does right before he flies away.
Wow. Snape is so cool.
I mean, also, man.
I know he's he's kind of a jerk to Harry throughout a lot of the movies, but he's such a good character. And this,
yes, he is.
We're jumping ahead here, but I did want to talk about his death scene and Harry getting the tears and looking at it in the. By the way, Snape calls it a pensive. He uses like the French pronunciation or whatever. He's like use the pensive. It's a fairly long sequence of the flashbacks of him as a kid talking with Dumbledore, but I kind of wish it was longer. And I wondered if it was longer. It was
supposed to be
book.
Longer.
Yeah,
it is longer in the book.
Yeah, I just wanted
more.
Gina.
I'll let you take this over.
No, I mean, there's more memories, but I wondered if they took them out because the memories of like when they were teenagers at Hogwarts, and since we kind of had that memory before with his dad and them bullying Snape, if that's why like they chose to take those particular ones out. But yeah, it's pretty much. Other than that, I mean, it's a little bit longer.
And we get the gist of it, I guess, that he loved
his death
Lily.
Scene is also different too.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
His death scene is different too.
It is.
Voldemort, I don't think, doesn't slice his neck. I don't think that happens. I think the snake just attacks him. I think that's how he dies, right? If I'm not mistaken.
No, yeah, you're right.
Just kills him.
Yeah.
He just
sticks the snake on him.
Yeah. Yep.
I can't talk.
It's all right.
But yes, Voldemort doesn't slice his throat, which is weird because you see him do it, and he doesn't have like a knife or anything. He just he uses
the wand. Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird too. I was like, maybe it was like a spell that creates like basically a knife in the air type of. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. But it does. He just kind of.
Yeah, when I first saw the movie, I was confused. I'm like, what did he do?
Right.
Because you rarely see the blood unless you really notice that he started leaking blood on his neck.
Mm-hmm.
So when he flops on the ground, I'm like, what happened to him? And then the snake started attacking him. Like, oh, maybe he did it. Like I said, maybe he used a spell on him or something. But now watching over, you can see him basically slice his throat and his throat started bleeding. I loved all this though. With Snape basically dying and Harry has to try to hold his wound, and he's like, let me look at you one last time, because he wanted to look at his eyes because they were Lily's eyes. Which I don't know if you guys have talked about this, but obviously that's one thing that Harry Potter fans hate, that Daniel Radcliffe doesn't have green eyes. He has blue eyes. And even in the flashback, they get a kid actress that don't have green eyes. She has brown eyes. Like I didn't see people literally go crazy over these eyes things. I'm not upset about it.
No.
Because I think in the first movie they tried to give him green eyes, but he had an allergic reaction to them. Daniel Radcliffe did, so they just said, "F it, we're just not going to do it."
Yeah.
Which is cool. I mean, it's just funny because everybody keeps saying, "Oh, you have your mother's eyes." And it's like, he has blue eyes.
Right.
But
she had brown eyes. But yeah.
He had brown eyes.
That's kind of funny.
Well, I wondered about the setting. Like, I was like, what is this boathouse? Like, I was like, it seemed kind of random to me. I'm like, we've never seen that before. In the book, though, in the Shrieking Shack. But
right.
I just was like, what is this boathouse? Like,
that's at the bottom of the castle where all the kids come when they go over the lake. That's where that.
Yeah, I was gonna say in the first movie, don't they get in boats to like go to Hogwarts? They get off.
I mean, obviously they're all boats, and
right.
there's a lake, but like we just have never seen this boathouse before.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
And they bring back a couple of old locations in this movie. Like I like seeing the Chamber of Secrets again was so cool.
That was so awesome.
Seeing the Shrieking Shack again would have been kind of cool too. So I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, that would have been nice to see the Shrieking Shack. Like I said, both of these movies feel like the greatest hits when it comes to
right.
Harry Potter franchise. Like seeing the basilisk bone, like this whole basilisk as bone, like it's like a dinosaur, like it's fossilized. It's amazing seeing that,
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I love all this whole stuff with Snape, and even the flashbacks. I love I just was wanting a little bit more. But it all worked really well. And the shot of Snape holding Lily in
the
Harry's
music,
little bedroom,
crying
again,
you
just
see crying in the
heartbreaking.
background.
Yeah.
I love this entire sequence with the flashbacks. Every time I watch it, I get goosebumps. And not even that, leading up to when we get to that sequence, like all the battle is happening in this castle and all this stuff is building up to this. Like, well, obviously we moved ahead, but like I wanted to talk about just this one tracking shot. It's nothing but music, and our three characters are trying to get to the boathouse. They're trying to get there, and they're just, going through the battle and fighting giant trolls and spiders, and this whole sequence is beautiful. It's beautifully shot. You just see magic all the way, and you see Appleford using the Patronus on all the Dementors coming. Like, oh my god, this whole sequence is just chef's kiss. It's amazing.
Actually, one of my absolute favorite scenes I skipped over to talk about Snape, but it's really the music in the scene that just, it struck me the first time I saw it, and I still love it. And it's when McGonagall summons the statues down, to protect Hogwarts. That music that plays, and you see the stat, and like, I just love all of that. It's so good.
They put the force field over Hogwarts.
Around Hogwarts,
Yes.
And you see like every teacher doing it. McGonagall's doing it, Flitwick's doing it, and then Mrs. Weasley's doing it, and it's and Slughorn's doing it. It's just like it's just so good.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it, love it, love it. I do have a question real quick about Snape, going back to Snape. When Snape finds out that Harry has to die, and he says to Dumbledore, "You're raising this kid like a pig going to slaughter."
Pig for slaughter.
Right. Dumbledore says, "Don't tell me you actually like care for this boy." And he does his Patronus, which is a doe, which is like Lily's, and then Dumbledore says, I think, like Lily Potter or something like that. And and Snape was like, always. So my question, and maybe I'm just an idiot and I'm just not getting it, but was that his way of saying, I do care about this kid because it's Lily's kid? Was that what he was saying, basically?
Yeah. In the movie, yes, but I think in the book it's played out differently. I think it's played out just a little bit differently. I don't think the way these scenes are happening is played out this way. Because even when Snape finds out that he doesn't have that kind of emotional reaction, when, talking about Harry. We hear a scene of him talking about Harry, but like how his dad is. We hear like a line of dialogue, him talking about Harry, like, because he, obviously of his dad. And that's more of his reaction to this whole scene. I love the way this is played out though. Because at the end of the day, if you, after seeing this scene, watch the entire franchise and you see that there's a thin line that, he does care for Harry. Like, he has been there protecting Harry. Obviously he's doing it in the background and, he's doing it in a frivolous way, but he's had that thought, like, this is the love of my life's son.
Right.
So.
And out, like, originally, I started rereading the first book, and in the very first potions class, Snape is just mean to Harry.
Yeah, hammering it to Harry,
And so, yes, he cares about him because it's Lily's son, but I think there's also a part, I think he's like conflicted, and there's another part of him that is like,
he sees James too. He sees
James
as well.
Yeah, he definitely sees James. And I wonder if there's also a part of him that is like, why did you get to live and when Lily died? There might be. Yeah, sure. Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
So
I think like resentment that Lily ended up with James.
Sure.
Yeah. But then resentment that Lily had to die for this boy, and for sure there's that inner conflict.
Yeah.
Won't really let anything happen to Harry because it's Lily's son, but yet also really don't like this boy.
Right. It's interesting. I mean, it's cool. It makes for a very complex kind of character, I think. But I like the idea that he really does truly care for Harry Potter, and so he doesn't ever kind of come out and say it because that's not really Snape's personality. But that's what I took away. That's what I'm telling myself the scene is. is him saying, yes, I care about this kid because it's Lily's kid. So anyway, yeah, I just love all that stuff with Snape. I think it's amazing. So skipping ahead, Luna Lovegood is the one that actually comes up with who Harry should talk to about the diadem. And we are introduced to the Gray Lady. I think he refers to her, which she does not appreciate.
Yeah.
And it's Helena Ravenclaw. And then she's a new ghost introduced to the franchise. I don't know if she's in the other books and they just didn't put her in the movies, but this is the first time we see her in the movies. And I like how she tells him that somebody else asked about the diadem and swore to destroy it and lied. And so Harry has to kind of prove to her that, he is actually going to destroy it. He's not Tom Riddle, and he's, going to actually destroy this thing.
Again, I mentioned this in the last episode where we got like a Easter egg of the diadem when Harry put the potions book in the Room of Requirement, because in the book, Helena doesn't know where it is. She's like, I buried it in Albania. That's where the last place I saw it. And there's actually, when Dumbledore and Harry, Dumbledore was doing all of his like research into Tom Riddle, and it's mentioned that
we should have gotten the sixth movie.
He spent time in Albania after he left Hogwarts. And so now we know why he went to Albania looking for this diadem. And so, because I was like, how would Helena know that it was in the Room of Requirement? I mean, unless she just was watching whoever might have put it in there.
Right.
However long ago. I mean, we don't know how long it's been in there. Well,
I assume it was Tom Riddle, right?
Wait. Now that I said that, I was like, wait a second. He purposefully hid it in the Room of Requirement at Hogwarts.
Right.
Yes, he did.
So she may have buried it in Albania, and maybe Tom Riddle went to Albania to go get it.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, that's
sorry.
Voldemort spent time in Albania after he left Hogwarts. So now we know why he went to Albania to get the diadem, make it into a Horcrux, and he hid it at Hogwarts.
I don't know what my problem is tonight. I keep mixing up Voldemort and Dumbledore. I heard you said Voldemort. I heard Dumbledore.
Sorry. Well,
I was thinking
when Dumbledore was doing research.
Yes, right.
Into Tom Riddle's life and trying to figure out,
Right.
So I did say Dumbledore, so you must have just got Dumbledore in your mind.
And then I probably went off in my brain about Dumbledore, and it went there. So anyway, okay, yes. So then he brings it back to Hogwarts and hides it in the Room of Requirement.
Yes.
And she saw that, I guess. How do you guys feel about that whole scene? The Room of Requirement, by the way, obviously, I think they say in Order of the Phoenix, it like provides you what you need, right? And so in Order of the Phoenix, it provides them a space to practice.
Right.
But in this movie, it is basically just a giant storage space where like everything is being stored, right?
This is called the Room of Lost Things. It's not, I think it's something like that. It's like it's a different name for this particular room. So like we saw earlier when they were in the Room Requirement, they were in beds and stuff earlier
that was the Room of Requirement.
Yes.
They were in the Room of Requirement in that moment.
I had no idea.
And in the book, Ginny is in that room.
Yeah.
She's
Tonks
in the room,
and Ginny
and
both.
they have to. Yeah,
because Ginny's underage, she's not allowed to fight. Tonks just had a baby. So they're like, you guys stay in the Room of Requirement. But then Tonks, of course, goes to look for Remus. And Ginny has to leave so that the Room of Requirement can be changed back into that Room of Lost Things.
Oh.
And that's how Ginny...
not explained it in the movie.
Yeah.
I just assumed it changed
and Ginny
based
is happy
on...
that she get to leave the room.
Right. She's free. I just kind of was under the impression that it just, whatever you needed at that, like, because I think he says in the previous movie or something that it like was a toilet one time for him. I can't remember if it was Dumbledore that said that or who said that, but somebody said like the Room of Requirement like provided a toilet when he needed one or something like that.
It was Ron.
Or maybe somebody said,
Ron
no,
said
that was Ron. Yeah, Ron was like,
Ron
so it would be a
Phoenix.
toilet if you needed it. That's right. And I think Hermione hit him for that. But so maybe but that's what the impression that I was getting was that because Harry needed to find the diadem, that storage room was shown to him when he went to the room requirement that time.
Yeah.
Right.
Got it.
And obviously, there've been a lot of students who've needed to hide things. But in the books, it says that Voldemort was like so conceited, I guess, to think that no one else is going to find this room of requirement. Like, no one else is going to, you know, like he thought it was like for him only, I guess. Or like, you know, nobody else would discover it. But that clearly wasn't the case, because anytime a student needed to hide something,
that's
there
true.
it was. So
I'm trying to remember, is the diadem is not even in a box, I don't think, at this point, right? Is
No.
it still in a box in the book? Yeah.
no, because remember Harry thought on that bust, like there was a wig, and
it was sitting on something.
So it's
sitting
on a bust.
It's not even hiding. Right.
So he just left it out in plain sight, which is maybe, you know, hidden in plain sight makes kind of the most sense, maybe.
Right.
Right.
That's interesting. And I was going to say, Voldemort is arrogant enough to think that, you know, that like no one's going to find it here because no one knows of this room, even though there was a bunch of stuff in there already.
Right.
I feel like that tracks with Voldemort's character. But I like a lot of this is pretty CG heavy, of them escaping with the fire and on the brooms. It's still a very fun scene. And the very, very end of this scene, which is when Harry and Draco fall off their broom, Draco gets up and the camera does this like real fast kind of push into the diadem. It felt, to me, especially with the music that plays in that moment, felt like that was directed by Steven Spielberg. I thought that it felt so Spielberg in that moment. I was like
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Raiders.
I was like, kudos, David Yates. You channeled Spielberg very well right then.
That whole scene just played out so very well. I love that action sequence. I think in the book, it's not. It's Crabbe and Goyle is both there in that scene.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken.
Which one of them was?
Yeah.
I can never remember which one's Crabbe and which one's Goyle, but was it Goyle?
Yeah. I wondered about that.
And
I was
he
like,
dies.
He doesn't die.
Maybe the actor playing Crabbe wasn't available. I don't know.
Well, that's why I wondered too. Yeah.
But yeah, Crabbe dies. Crabbe's the one that sets the fire, and he dies, but Goyle doesn't. Yeah.
But in the movie, Goyle dies.
They change it up.
Yeah.
Right. And he set the fire.
I gotcha. Speaking of dying, the next note I have, which is, I believe, after all the Snape stuff, which we've already talked about. But we see Fenric, is that his name? Fenrir, Greyback or whatever, attacking somebody. And
it's Lavender.
I know. And that's what I was going to say. And then somebody scares him off or shoo. I don't know. I can't remember what he does. But they get him to go away.
Hits him with a spell.
Right. And we see Lavender there, and I was like, even though I didn't like her character, I was like, Lavender. You know, all the deaths in this movie, I was like, no. The only deaths I remembered going into this watching this again was one of the Weasley brothers, the twins. I knew one of them died. I couldn't remember which one. And even when they show him dead, I wrote Fred, George. I don't know which one you are yet. And Snape. Those were the only two people I remembered dying. So after we see Lavender, so I was surprised by Lavender, and then actually I guess that happens before Snape, because my note here is the next note I wrote was how Voldemort knew about the Elder Wand, which I want to talk about. But anyway, so we saw Fred dead in the Weasley, which is another heartbreaking scene. And then right after that, we see the dead bodies of Tonks and Lupin, and that was just, like I said, just a gut punch. I was just like, and maybe I'm glad I didn't know they had a kid yet, because I think it would have been even harder.
Yeah. Reading it wasn't very exciting either.
I'm sure it wasn't.
When one of the twins died, because you see it in the book. It's explained in the book.
Yeah, they
I remember the first time I read it, I was like, wow, like I did not expect one of them to go.
Right. I know. Me neither. In the movie, there's a shot of a Death Eater and one of the Weasley twins being like attacked.
Yep.
And then she gets kind of distracted because Voldemort's doing his little ASMR talk,
his little, over the speaker.
Right,
speaker intercom.
And so I wondered if that was Fred, and right after Voldemort got done talking, she just just death cursed him. I don't know, but
might have.
Because it happens off screen.
you to think that,
Right.
Yeah.
It's curious. So, okay, so now the question I had about Voldemort is he tells Snape that the Elder Wand is not connecting with him because Snape killed Dumbledore, who Dumbledore was the owner of the Elder Wand, and because Snape killed Dumbledore, the Elder Wand belongs to Snape, so Voldemort has to kill Snape, which is why he does it.
Mm-hmm.
How does he? Is he just assuming? How does Voldemort know that about the Elder Wand? He's just assuming because he's not connecting with
it. He's assuming that the reason why it's not connecting because the last person that, and it's not even about killing the person to get the wand. That's what most people keep forgetting. It's not about
that. Yeah. Well, that's what Harry says at the end of the movie.
Obviously we get in the movie. It's about disarming the wand. It doesn't become yours.
Right.
So, but Voldemort is only infatuated on killing. That's why.
Right.
That's why.
Right. So he was wrong, but I just wondered how he came to that conclusion. But
Voldemort must have known someone, lore, like the fact that the wand chooses you, and like you do have this. So he must have had some foreknowledge of that to understand why it wasn't working for him.
Right.
But also, isn't the story about the wand is that the owner got killed in his sleep, and that's how the wand got taken? Isn't that in the
you're
story?
Right. I think you're right.
So maybe that's also why he thought about that too, because he only specifically said the Elder Wand. Like the reason why this wand isn't responding is because I didn't kill the person that owned it. And I think in the story of the three brothers, the guy who owned it got killed in his sleep. And he got the wand taken from him. So
you're absolutely right. And now that you mentioned that, you're right. So and Voldemort definitely knew the story of the Deathly Hallows, so he knew that story. So you're probably absolutely right. That's okay. All right, I'm happy with that explanation.
Go ahead, Janelle.
Well, no, it's interesting you said that because in the book, Dumbledore tells Harry after Harry died that Voldemort didn't know about the Deathly Hallows because he didn't know he had the Resurrection Stone when he made it into a Horcrux. He didn't recognize it.
Oh, yeah.
Same with and he probably honestly didn't care too much because it's not like he loved anyone and wanted to bring them back.
Right.
And he didn't care about the invisibility cloak. He really only cared about the Elder Wand. But Dumbledore kind of makes he's like, I don't think Voldemort knew about the Deathly Hallows because he didn't know about the Resurrection Stone. I just gonna throw that out there since you said that. I was like, well, actually,
now it doesn't make sense.
Well, that disproves my point.
All right, yeah. Well, whatever. For the sake of the movies, I'll say that it works. But I don't know then.
I do want to say, I know we're running out of time. The reveal of Harry not actually being dead is so much more powerful in the books. I don't like that Hagrid's holding him the whole time and he just falls out of his arms and the moment that he chooses to reveal himself, because in the books, it's after Neville has stepped forward and you have basically backup coming in. You've got Thestrals, you've got Buckbeak, you have all the families of the students. You have people from Hogsmeade. I mean, just all these people come flooding Hogwarts.
What's the guys with the half man, half horses come in as well?
Centaurs.
Yeah, the centaurs come in, and they're a big distraction.
Comes in, yeah,
they start shooting arrows and scattering the Death Eaters, and so this whole battle. And before all this, Hagrid actually put Harry on the ground, so he's not holding him anymore.
Right.
So Harry's able, in all the distraction, to put the invisibility cloak over him, and that's when he gets up.
Yes.
And he follows Voldemort into the Great Hall. All this battle's going on, and Voldemort is fighting McGonagall and Slughorn, and I can't remember who the third one was. Bellatrix is fighting Hermione and Ginny and Luna, and that's when Bellatrix goes after Ginny, and then Mrs. Weasley fights back and kills her.
In the movie.
And Voldemort screams in fury when Bellatrix dies. In the movie, he doesn't even know Bellatrix died.
Yeah, he's not even there.
Yeah. But Voldemort, and so he goes to kill Mrs. Weasley, and that's when Harry reveals himself and protects Mrs. Weasley and then fights Voldemort. It's just so much more
Mhm.
powerful in that moment for him to reveal himself. And then everybody obviously realizes he's alive, and it, gives them, it bolsters their spirits.
Even
and,
more,
So I feel like the reveal in the movie just isn't.
The reveal in the movie is super underwhelming. I agree with you.
It is.
I like that Neville comes forward.
Like no music or nothing. He just plop.
It's really, it's really kind of bizarre. Like Neville gives this great speech, and is standing up to Voldemort. And I love Voldemort's reaction. He's got like this huge smile on his face. Like he just finds it hilarious that this kid is saying this to him. And then Harry just like falls out of Hagrid's arm, and Voldemort's like, huh? And then it's just like he runs off. It's so weird. So I think it would have been better the way it is in the book. However, I think there would have been a problem. Like if Harry's under the invisible cloak, he would have needed something to, like, a goal almost for like a reason to keep himself hidden for so long. Something that he's like either somebody he's trying to get to or something he's trying to get to before he reveals himself. Otherwise, it's just like all these people are fighting and he's just like what do I, when do I now? Should I do it now? I don't know.
Yeah.
There must have been a reason in the book for why he stayed invisible for so long.
I'm trying to remember. Hold on, let me look at my notes. Oh, and another thing is Neville, because before Harry went into the Forbidden Forest, he saw Neville and told Neville to kill the snake. In case something happened to Ron or Hermione, he wanted somebody else to. So Neville already knew to kill the snake. And so that actually happened earlier before Harry reveals himself.
The snake gets killed earlier?
Yeah.
Nagini.
I like that better in the movie.
No,
the movie
it's awesome
version is more exciting. Yeah.
It's awesome. But that just, And the other thing, too, just a side note, because we didn't get to see a whole lot of this in the previous movie with Kreacher, but Kreacher, like, becomes a very devoted house elf to Harry because of the way Harry treats the house elves. He really does, like, a 180, and he's like, so he actually leads the house elves in the battle and is like,
oh, nice.
Fight for my master. It's like, and I really would have liked to have seen that,
Yeah.
It was very...
a lot of people don't know that the house elves are literally cooking the meals for them.
Oh,
people don't know that the house elves are actually cooking the meals. That it don't just come up by magic. They're making the food. They have like a kitchen and everything, which you can explore in Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah, honestly, I'd have to go back and look, because I can't remember what the motivation is for him staying hidden so long.
Yeah. I can't think so. I was trying to think as well. I don't remember.
And I didn't write it down.
But to me, I like the way this third act is played out. It does seem a little over dramatic, I guess, when you look at it from a book reader, because everything is happening in the Great Hall. Everything is in the Great Hall. They don't leave that area. But also, it's like, okay, you got your designated to one area. Maybe that doesn't look good dramatically, especially when it comes to action. Like him throwing him off the building and all that stuff. Obviously, that doesn't happen in the book either. Right. Yeah, them flying around and
that works in the movie. And then them ending.
There's a scene where their faces merged. There's a scene where their faces like merged. That was weird. I remember when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, that was a little weird. I don't know why they did that, but
I don't know why they did that either. Because this was.
But I do like the way this all played out.
This is after he died, so there's not a part of Voldemort in Harry anymore. So I didn't really understand the visual, metaphor or whatever of them like merging together like that. It was faces. Like didn't really understand it. It was a weird choice, but I loved the whole battle scene. And Neville's got just the most awesome heroic moment when he kills the snake.
Yes.
It's just,
oh man,
I love everything about that. We are running a little out of time, but. So we didn't talk about after he dies and the whole scene with Dumbledore. How do you guys feel about that scene?
Yeah.
I liked it. Obviously, there's a lot more detail given in the book.
Sure.
About Dumbledore's past, his own obsession with the Deathly Hallows, why he wasn't worthy to, combine the Deathly Hallows, and Harry's the only one that's the worthy possessor. So there's,
Well, okay, speaking of that, what is the point of the Resurrection Stone? So Dumbledore gives Harry the snitch that we find out that has the Resurrection Stone in it. Is it just, does the Resurrection Stone give him the ability to talk to all the ghosts? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I mean, you can bring people back to life even though they weren't.
He's not, but he's not bringing them back to life. They're just there.
Right.
And he talks to them, and then he drops the stone in the dirt.
Right.
And then that's it.
They're in the book. They're actually there with him. They're all
well, and they tell him that they will be
facing.
He just doesn't see them, right?
Right. Yeah, right. But they're actually
he's like, thanks a lot. Really could.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Dumbledore says because he wanted the resurrection stone to bring back his sister, and he says the stone I would have used in an attempt to drag back those who are at peace, rather than to enable my self-sacrifice as you did. So Harry wasn't seeking to bring them back to life or bring them back from being at peace. Right. He was doing it to give him the courage to sacrifice himself. Right. So he was doing it like in an unselfish way, which Dumbledore
the right way.
Right. Yeah.
Was not.
Which is kind of cool. Dumbledore, Dumbledore has been shown to be the most powerful wizard basically that lives. Maybe I don't know if Voldemort is more powerful, but he's Dumbledore is the big guy. And yet I like him telling him, like, I'm not strong enough to do what you did, which is really kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the resurrection stone is not what brings Harry back to life after he gets killed. Harry just like how that this I don't know if this is explained differently in the book, but I like how he just Dumbledore says something about you can go back, and he's like, I can. He's like, if you want to, it's your choice, and it's like,
yeah,
okay, all right,
yeah, kind of like that in between, like when you're not quite dead yet, like you could still come back to life, or you could choose to move on. Yeah, like that's kind of the impression I get, but it doesn't really explain, does it, why Harry's still alive? Because he's not technically. I mean, in the book it says because Voldemort used Harry's blood when he was building his body.
Yeah.
That as long as Voldemort was still alive, Harry would also have that connection to life, like, and that's what kept him alive.
No, that's not explained. And so that was my question, because in the movie they just make it seem like Harry actually died, and when he's in this afterlife thing, Dumbledore's like, you can go back if you want. And he's like, okay, I'll go back.
But Dumbledore says to Harry that that the part of Voldemort's soul got hit by the curse, not Harry. Like, he killed that part of him. He fully didn't completely kill Harry. Like, he had to, and Voldemort had to be the one to do it, so the Horcrux can be destroyed.
Right.
So
I guess I didn't get
that's where I took at it from the movie, but I do remember from the book that it was Voldemort's blood that kept them alive. That basically kept them alive.
Okay.
But I also did wonder,
since he used Harry's blood
too. In addition to the whole blood connection, I mean, Harry had the Resurrection Stone, the Invisibility Cloak, and he was the true owner of the Elder Wand, having disarmed Draco. Right. So he was Master of Death. So I was like, does that have anything to do with him also coming back to life? Because he had united the Deathly Hallows, he was Master of Death.
Yeah.
So there's
that interesting. That wasn't really explained either. That would have been really interesting.
But that's a good. I like that theory.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the Voldemort blood thing makes sense, but since they don't touch on that at all,
right?
You could say the Deathly Hallows Master of Death thing is a good kind of fan theory as to why he's able to come back.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I like that. That's gonna be my headcanon for the movies anyway. Even though he did drop the stone before he met Voldemort.
Wait, it wasn't on him, but yeah.
Right. The scene with Mrs. Malfoy where she goes to check Harry, was that in the book?
It is.
That is in the book? Okay.
Yep, she lied for him because she wanted to get back to Draco, make sure he was okay.
And does Hagrid
And that
know?
was also a little different because in the book,
when he's carrying,
they don't really fight in the battle. They go to find, because how Draco's parents make him come rejoin the Death Eaters. That doesn't happen in the book. Because the battle has already kind of commenced, they go to find Draco, and they basically just kind of hope they don't get killed kind of thing, and they end up staying at Hogwarts after Voldemort's defeated. So they don't run away like they do in the movie. But
I like it. I like how they run away in the movie. Draco's not really like, he's just going off
out.
with his mom. But I liked how Lucius was like, I'm out. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. But I've just asked because I assume Harry, because we've seen in previous movies that Hagrid is not so great at keeping secrets. And so I wondered if that was part of the, if Hagrid knew when he was carrying Harry, like, he's alive, but I'm not going to say anything.
I mean, his heart's got to be beating a million miles a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, even if he's breathing kind of shallowly, you'd think, but I wasn't sure if Hagrid had no idea or if Hagrid was kind of like, I got you, Harry,
Right.
What did you think about Harry breaking the Elder Wand?
I think it made total sense for Harry, especially with Ron talking about like, we could be invincible. He's like, all right, we're getting too crazy here and breaking it. I think it made total sense.
In the book, they go to Dumbledore's office and speak to Dumbledore's portrait about what to do with it.
I would have loved.
And he's like, I think putting it back where it belongs is a good idea. So they actually put it back with Dumbledore.
Dumbledore's grave.
And put it back in his grave.
I would have loved to see that scene, them being in Dumbledore's office.
Yeah.
I would have loved that.
And putting the wand back. That would have been, I mean, that makes sense. That's like 3 more locations that they'd have to shoot. But again, this movie probably was just, Warner Brothers was like, here's all the money. So it's not really like that would have been an issue, but that would have been I like that. I don't mind the breaking of the Elder Wand. Again, it kind of makes sense for Harry's character and all that stuff, but that is cooler. And I wish I could have seen them talk to Dumbledore's portrait and then put it back with Voldemort. Or Voldemort. I keep mixing them for whatever reason tonight. Dumbledore. Yeah,
it would have been cool because he mentioned, he's like, I dropped the resurrection stone in the Forbidden Forest. I think it should just stay there, don't you? And he was like, yeah. He's like, the only thing I want is the cloak. Because I don't know if this is really said either, that Harry's the direct descendant of Ignotus Peverell, one of the 3 brothers.
Yep.
And the cloak got passed down generation to generation. So he is the legit owner of the cloak. And that's why it always works so well for him.
Which is awesome.
Because he's a direct descendant of one of the 3 brothers.
Yeah, not explained. I mean, I know they obviously can't tell us everything in the movies. They've got to cut stuff out, but would have been
that would have been dope to let us know for sure.
Jeez Louise. Well, we got to talk about the epilogue. So let's 19 years later. It's the first time I saw it. I loved it in the book. I did remember this part of the book, and I really enjoyed it. And I was curious how it was going to be in the movie. And the first time I saw it, felt a little cheesy to me because they got the kind of, especially Daniel Radcliffe, they kind of made him look, they put like a little bit of old age makeup on him. And I'm sure they did it on everybody, but he's the only one that I really kind of noticed it on. They did the perfect,
for me, it was Ginny.
Ron,
I was going to say.
Ron has the dad belly.
Yeah, he does have he does have the dad belly. That's true. And Ron has like a more adult haircut. And Ginny, I was going to say, I actually thought they did the perfect haircut for Ginny because she looks like a mom. So it was a little cheesy to me the first time I saw it, but watching it this time, I really liked it. I thought it was really good. And it made me want to see, even though I know a lot of people don't like Cursed Child, it made me want to see Cursed Child with these actors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, for sure. I was feeling the same way because when I read it, I'm like, how are they going to do this? Because they're not going to wait to film this and wait till they get older. Obviously, they're going to put makeup on them.
Right.
I was
and they wouldn't cast new actors, right?
No, they would definitely wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised with the epilogue. I really did like it as well. Like I said, I cried at the end because they hit me with the music and seeing the 3 characters look at the Hogwarts Express and goes to black, and I cried like it's over. Like I saw, I'm like, it's over. No more Harry Potter. I was like, what am I going to look forward to now, knowing my favorite franchise is over? Like, what the heck is going to happen? But yeah, I thought this is actually pretty good.
I 100% agree with you.
They mentioned, I just wanted to mention this, that Neville Longbottom became the professor of herbology at Hogwarts. Because they say something like, give Neville a love. And one of the kids is like, he's a professor. I can't give him love. Like, but that just made me happy to know that he's a professor at Hogwarts teaching herbology, which is cool.
Do they say in the epilogue what Harry becomes?
No.
They don't. Because I kind of thought, especially after...
I expect him to be an Auror.
Yeah, I mean... I think in Cursed Child, they do say he works for the Ministry, but I forget what his role is. But I feel like he should have become a professor. I feel like Dumbledore, and especially since he named his kid after Dumbledore and Snape, like these professors had such a big impact on his life. I feel like he should have become a professor at Hogwarts, but that's just me personally.
Yeah. Maybe he just didn't have that.
He could have been the defense against the dark arts teacher, you know?
Yeah, he would have been good at that. Yeah.
Yeah, especially because we see him teaching in Order of the Phoenix. It just, to me, it made like it made sense, and he was good at it. You know, I feel like that would have been the moment for him to be like, maybe this is what I want to do. You know, maybe I want to teach at Hogwarts. So that's just me personally. I would have liked to have seen him become a professor, but oh well. J.K. Rowling had other ideas, I guess.
Oh, maybe J.K. Rowling might go back and rewrite it.
Well, maybe.
Rewrite stuff.
All right, so let's rate the film, and then I would like to. You already touched on this, Alex, and I'm really kind of bummed Stu's not a part of this because I wanted to get Stu's ranking, but I want to rank all the movies, and I also want to talk about the Rotten Tomato score, how the critics, you know, the general consensus, I guess, of the critics, how they rank these movies. So first, let's just talk about this film. For me, it's 5 out of 5 Elder Wands. It's amazing. I love it. I can't really... We've just talked about it for an hour and 20 minutes, you know, so I'm just going to stop there. Alex.
5 out of 5 Resurrection Stones.
Yeah, there you go. And Janelle, you don't talk about the ratings of the movies, so I'm just going to say, for you, it's 5 out of 5 Invisibility Cloaks, and we're going to go from there.
We formed a Deathly
Actually, that's probably what Stu would give it. That's what I will say. I don't know, actually. I looked it up on Letterboxd. He only gave it 4 stars, but I'm curious if his rating would change watching it again. I don't know. So again, really wish he was on this episode, but oh well. So real quick, the Rotten Tomatoes score for this film is a 96%, which is the highest rating out of all of them. So the Rotten Tomatoes ranking, so it's general, you know, 96% of critics gave it a favorable score. So going off that, it would be this movie, then Prisoner of Azkaban, then Goblet, then Half-Blood Prince, then Chamber, then Sorcerers, then Order of the Phoenix, and then Deathly Hallows Part 1. None of them have bad reviews. So the lowest score, which is Deathly Hallows Part 1, is a 77%. So it's still pretty good. But but that one has the lowest Rotten Tomato score out of all of them, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to they thinking it was the slow pace. People had problems with the slow pace, and what I say in the last review is that I don't understand because the movie has action. There's things happening in the movie. They don't just camp out in the woods the whole movie. That's the assumption, but that's not exactly what happens throughout the movie. But yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I wish I had my letterbox pulled up. I'll just try to do this from memory.
Yeah, I got mine's out.
My ranking. So Prisoner was my favorite movie up until this one. This one is my favorite. It's got the emotion. We didn't talk about the music, the score by Alexander Desplat, but it's
awesome.
I love John Williams' scores. I think those are the best, but this one is the best after those. I mean, it's just so good.
Yes.
So for me, this is the best Harry Potter. I love that it ends with the best film. Like, it's the best film in the franchise, easily, in my opinion. Then it would be Prisoner. And then for me, it would be Sorcerer's Stone. And I think that's just probably mostly nostalgia. And I just like, you know, and I love just seeing the kids, like Harry learning about Hogwarts for the first time and all that stuff. I just love it. And then it would be Deathly Hallows Part 1. And then it would be Goblet. And then it would be, and Alex, you're this is where you're probably gonna not like me. I think it would be Order. Then, hold on, am I missing one? Oh yeah, no. Order,
Chamber of Secrets, Order, and Half-Blood.
Chamber of Secrets, and then Half-Blood Prince. Yeah. So that's right. Yeah, so Half-Blood Prince would be the bottom. Chamber would be second to last, and that's mostly just due to the length, I think. That's just such a long movie. And like I said, they're all good. Half-Blood Prince just is probably the weakest out of the bunch, but that's my order.
Right.
Alex, what about you? How would you rank them?
My ranking from we're gonna do best to worst.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I guess I should have done it the other way.
So,
but, oh well.
So going back, my letterbox is wrong. I got to switch these, but really they changed from Goblet and this one.
This one, yeah.
Today it's this one today.
Right.
Tomorrow it could be Goblet, but these two kind of intertwine because I love Goblet so much. So it'll be this, Goblet, Prisoner Azkaban, Order of the Phoenix, Chamber of Secrets, Sorcerer's Stone. I guess you say I just was talking about Rotten Tomatoes, so it's Deathly Hallows Part 1 and then Half-Blood Prince. I'm kind of with you when it comes to nostalgia with those first two though. Like those, like I will never forget the first time I saw them. Like the music, John Williams is goated. To me, this is his last best like score when it comes to like greatest scores. The Harry Potter score is probably his last greatest one, at least to me.
I could agree with that probably, yeah.
So yeah, that would be my ranking. Obviously, the Fantastic Beasts movies are the bottom. They're all at the bottom.
Yeah, exactly.
Technically, they're all at the bottom. But the core 8, that would be my ranking.
Nice. I like it. Well, we'd love to know what you think about Harry Potter's and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. You can always let us know at Cinema Heroes. You can leave us a comment on our Instagram or tweet at us. Both handles are at Cinema Heroes. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment down below what you think about the movie. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'd love to hear from you however you want to reach out to us. I think that about wraps it up for this episode, though. I'm Justin Speck.
I'm Alex Thomas.
Janelle Speck, thank you for having me.
Thanks, as always, thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing.